welcome back to Midnight Story Lore. Today, we bring you the remarkable story of a woman who was born into slavery, but became one of the greatest heroes in American history. A woman who faced danger at every turn. A woman who escaped from slavery and then returned to rescue others. A woman whose courage changed countless lives. This is the inspiring story of Harriet Tubman. Imagine waking up every morning knowing that you are not free. Imagine being told where to go, what to do, and how to live. Imagine knowing that your family could be taken away from you at any moment. For millions of enslaved people in America, this was reality. And it was the reality into which Harriet Tubman was born around the year 1822 in Maryland. Her birth name was Araminta Ross. Life was difficult from the very beginning. As a child, Harriet worked long hours in harsh conditions. She often faced hunger, exhaustion, and punishment. Yet even as a young girl, she showed unusual strength and determination. She refused to let fear control her. But one tragic event would change her life forever. When Harriet was still a teenager, an overseer tried to stop another enslaved person from escaping. The overseer threw a heavy metal weight. The object missed its target and struck Harriet in the head. The injury was severe. She nearly died. For the rest of her life, she suffered from headaches, dizziness, and sudden sleeping spells. Many people would have been broken by such an injury, but Harriet became even stronger. Deep inside, she held on to one dream: freedom. As the years passed, Harriet watched many families being separated. Parents were torn away from children. Brothers were sold away from sisters. Every day brought uncertainty. Then, in 1849, Harriet learned that she might be sold to another plantation. She knew that if she stayed, she could lose any chance of freedom. So she made a decision that would change history. She decided to escape. One night, under the cover of darkness, Harriet left everything behind. No maps, no protection, no guarantee of success, only hope. She traveled mostly at night, following the North Star. She moved through forests, fields, and hidden trails. Every sound in the darkness could mean danger. Every stranger could be a threat. If she were caught, she would be returned to slavery and severely punished. But Harriet refused to turn back. After a long and dangerous journey, she finally crossed into a free state. For the first time in her life, she was free. Years later, she described the moment by saying that she looked at her hands and felt like she was the same person. Yet everything had changed. Freedom was finally hers. Most people would have stayed safe. Most people would have started a new life and never looked back. But Harriet Tubman was not most people. Even after gaining her freedom, she could not stop thinking about those she had left behind. Her family, her friends, the thousands of enslaved people still suffering. She knew she had escaped, but they had not. And so Harriet made an incredible choice. She went back, again, and again, and again. She became a conductor on the Underground Railroad. Despite its name, it was not an actual railroad. It was a secret network of safe houses, hidden routes, and brave people who helped enslaved individuals escape to freedom. Harriet became one of its most famous leaders. She traveled deep into dangerous territory. She secretly guided men, women, and children toward freedom. The journeys were terrifying. Slave catchers searched constantly for escaped slaves. Newspapers published rewards for Harriet's capture. The amount grew larger as her reputation spread. People wanted to stop her, but they couldn't. Harriet was fearless. She carefully planned every rescue mission. She often traveled during the night and rested during the day. She used secret signals and coded messages. Again and again, she led people to safety. Over the years, Harriet helped dozens of enslaved people reach freedom and inspired many others to escape. What made her story even more extraordinary was this: she never lost a single person on her rescue missions. Because of her courage and leadership, people began calling her Moses, comparing her to the biblical figure who led people out of bondage. It was a title she earned through bravery and sacrifice. Then came the American Civil War. The nation was divided. The issue of slavery stood at the center of the conflict. Harriet knew she had to continue fighting for freedom. During the war, she worked for the Union Army. She served as a nurse. She cared for sick and wounded soldiers. She worked as a scout. She gathered valuable information. She even participated in military operations. At a time when women had very few opportunities and African Americans faced enormous discrimination, Harriet proved that courage and intelligence could overcome barriers. Her contributions helped the Union cause and demonstrated her extraordinary leadership during one of the most difficult periods in American history. When the Civil War finally ended, slavery in the United States was abolished. For Harriet Tubman, it was a moment she had spent her entire life fighting for. But her work was far from over. Even after the war, Harriet continued helping those in need. She settled in Auburn, New York, where she cared for family members and supported former enslaved people who were struggling to build new lives. Harriet believed that freedom was not only about breaking chains. It was also about creating opportunities, dignity, and hope. As the years passed, she became involved in the movement for women's rights. She spoke alongside activists who were fighting for women to have the right to vote. Harriet understood what it meant to face injustice, and she never stopped standing up for equality. Despite all she had accomplished, Harriet often faced financial difficulties. She did not become rich or famous during her lifetime. Instead, she spent much of her energy helping others. In her later years, she opened a home for elderly African Americans who had nowhere else to go. She wanted people who had suffered hardship to be treated with kindness and respect. As she grew older, the injuries she had suffered as a young girl continued to affect her health. Yet her spirit remained strong. On March 10, 1913, Harriet Tubman passed away at the age of about 90 years old. But her legacy did not end there. Today, Harriet Tubman is remembered as one of the bravest figures in American history. She risked her freedom to save others. She challenged a system that many believed could never change. And she proved that one determined person can make a difference in the lives of countless people. Her story reminds us that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite fear. From a young girl born into slavery to a national hero remembered around the world, Harriet Tubman's journey remains a powerful example of hope, sacrifice, and determination. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and join us for more inspiring stories from history. This is Midnight Story Lore, and we'll see you in the next story. Thank you for watching.